came to my mind after Cherry was over was hoodwinked, bamboozled, ultimately disrespected that I even had to spend my time watching this film. Hey everyone, it's Sharana from Payroll Waits, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Apple TV Plus original film Cherry, which will hit the streaming platform on March 12th, but it is now available to see in theaters. This film is directed by the Russo brothers, Anthony and Joe Russo. It stars Tom Holland. It's based on the novel of the same title by Nico Walker, as this film centers around an army medic suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder who becomes a serial bank robber after his drug addiction causes him to go into debt. So for those of you who are new to my channel, welcome, hello, so glad you came, I hope you stay. I tell you what I enjoyed about the movie, what I didn't like about the movie, and should you pay your way to see this film, which is playing in theaters now, or for those of you who want to wait for it to hit streaming on March 12th, is it worth your time watching when it hits Apple TV Plus? So going into what I enjoyed about this film, because you know what, we can always try to find a few pros out of something that we might not have necessarily liked, and also too, I made a commitment that I was not going to be petty in 2021. So going into what I did enjoy about Cherry, I do want to give Tom Holland some credit for choosing a role like this. When a lot of people heard that he was going to be attached to this, a lot of people were like, is Tom Holland the right person for this? But what I will have to say is that I do want to commend him on, you know, the courage and the bravery of him choosing such a far departure from what we're used to seeing from him on screen. I'm trying to shed his good boy image as your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man in the MCU, but I think that it took a lot of guts to take on a role like this, especially at this standpoint in Tom Holland's career. I think that the jury would still be out if this was the necessarily right time for him to choose a role like this in Cherry. But I will say that for what is given to him, because we will talk about the issues from a writing standpoint that really causes the movie to go awry, is that I think he does a good enough job with what is given to him. And there were some compelling moments that I saw from him on screen. Does it work all the time? No, it did not. But I think for the most part, I'm not going to say that Tom Holland was horrible in this film. It truly comes off that he gave this role his all, that he was truly committed to the script and committed to this project. But I want to give him kudos. I was like, you know what, Tom, you all right with me. I was totally okay with his performance in the film. But also too, I want to give credit to Ciara Bravo, who plays Emily, who is his love interest in the film. I really did enjoy her character, and I think that she was good casting. I think they mesh well together, Ciara and Tom, with their roles in this film. But I think because we're dealing with the opioid crisis and how it affects these two different lives in two totally different ways, I do like what she brings to the story. I think that she does a very fantastic job as well with the script that is given to her, even though as we get into the cons, I do wish we would have seen her character fleshed out a little bit more. But to the last one, I do like that it does center around this topic of the opioid crisis, but most importantly, it also encompasses how our country treats veterans. And I like that we are taken into this story that really ties in two serious issues that are happening, within this country that really doesn't get a lot of attention. There's still a lot other issues that should be getting the attention that it so desperately deserves. But I do like that we're starting to see more on how the country treats its veterans, and I did like that aspect of the film being portrayed as we take on Nico Walker's story. Now, that is pretty much all that I can muster up for all the things that I actually enjoyed about this film. But you know what, Cherry is a mess, y'all. I'm not gonna lie to you. It seems as though that the movie really suffers from a writing standpoint because they focus so more on stylizing and really bringing this, what I would call a chaotic novel, as if for anyone who's read the novel, it's all over the place, kind of how this movie was, but it doesn't capture your attention the same way for those who might have read the novel. And so for me, it felt as though that the Russo brothers were more focused on bringing this very jazzy, just in your face, stylistic type of movie to the screen, but the story suffers because of that. And that's also true from a screenplay standpoint. When we're dealing with such deep issues, dealing with the opioid crisis, and also too with how our country treats the veterans, I felt as though that emotional piece that really kept you invested in the characters and how you're supposed to be invested in Tom Holland's character throughout the course of this film, it was missing. I knew that I was like, hey, I feel like I don't want you to be a bank robber, but I'm not necessarily connecting with your character to be fully invested with this journey that his character goes through as he goes through the war, as he also too leads down this path with his PTSD, taking him into an addiction to drugs and also robbing banks. And I think from a tonal standpoint, you know, I know the book is kind of funny, it's chaotic, it's all over the place, but it keeps you engaged. But I think because they don't do a good job of handling the tonal shifts that happen in the novel versus what happens in the film adaptation, I think that the movie suffers from it. I feel as though that the whole general backbone of this film, this theme of the opioid crisis and how our circumstances and our choices can lead us down these paths, that they have different faces than the stereotypes of what this country has tried to say about those who are dealing with this addiction. I think it just loses its it loses the general message that is really ultimately trying to convey to its audience. And so a lot of people will feel as though they will walk out just thinking like, oh, well, it was great to see a shot of, you know, Tom Holland's artificial, you know, butthole. That's a whole nother story, but yes, that is in the film, but I'm not going to give any spoilers away as to when it happens. I just think a lot of people will feel let down. I think that also too with Ciara Bravo's character, Emily, I think that her character, because we're getting to see these two different catalysts of what actually led these characters down this road to addiction, I felt that her character should have been fleshed out more. We should have gotten to see a lot more of what Ciara was going through, who was dealing with her issues also from her childhood, but with her relationship and her marriage that led her down this dark path as well. And I felt that that was a missed opportunity. So overall for me, I felt the 2 hour and 20 something minute runtime. There were times where I was checking my phone like, is this movie almost done? Because I'm just not invested in the story. I'm not invested in these characters. And I don't want to fault that on the talent that was involved in bringing these characters to life, because I think that they did good with what was given to them. But due to the poor writing and really just missing the mark on really how to bring the story to life on screen, I think that some things that worked in a novel, it just didn't work from an execution standpoint in the film, where I can see where they were going from with the stylistic choices, with the chaoticness of the all over the place from the screenplay. It just missed the mark in bringing this novel to life on the big screen. So what I would tell you guys to do with you and your coins for Cherry, I will tell you guys, it's a wait. Save your coins. And to be honest, I don't know if I would necessarily watch it on Apple TV Plus. I will always encourage you guys to give it a try. It might be something you like. There are a lot of things that I enjoy that you guys just hate, and there's things that I hate that you actually enjoy. So this is just my thoughts on how I felt about the film. I'm never going to watch this film again, just being honest with you guys, but I am excited to see what projects that Tom Holland will choose next. I think that he has the right idea. It just needs a little bit more fine tuning on what scripts that he's actually going to choose to be a part of in his blossoming career. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Cherry. As always, my name is Sharana from Para Waits. If you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit the notification bell. And I love you guys 3000. And until I see you again,